All right, we are live. Tonight, we got Rashad here. We're going to be talking about user experiences on the Salesforce development platform here on System.Debug. I always wish I could figure out this part of it, but I can't. That was really good this week, Brian. You did amazing.
That was the magic of the pentatonic scale, man. Let me tell you.
That was so much. I don't even know what that means, but that was so much better than it not being there at all.
All right, we are live, and we are back from Dreamforce, baby. Woo!
Oh, I was just talking about that. I was showing Rashad here the video of me climbing the rock wall, and then the truck that we gave away. Congratulations to Kate Percival, her last name. I don't know what it was, but congratulations on winning that Chevy Colorado from Map Anything. That was amazing. That was amazing. A lot of fun at Dreamforce. Ryan, did you have fun?
I had a blast. Dude, I thought you were going to hook me up with that dang truck. What happened there?
I did my best. I've got a Map Anything sticker for you if you want it, though.
I can't drive a Map Anything sticker. Map Anything sticker ain't going to get the limbs from my yard to the dump, man. That's all I'm saying.
No, but you know what might is if you give out some of those System.Debug stickers in exchange for yard work. I'm pretty sure people will do it.
I still have a ton of those.
That's because nobody wants the stickers.
No, we're still growing. I'm trying to be optimistic about it.
Good. That's the right attitude.
I'll take another one.
You'll take another one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Outstanding. I've got a ton of them. I ordered a ton of them. I handed out a ton of them. Still got a ton of them. So that's really cool. This week gearing up for Thanksgiving. Everybody got good, cool Thanksgiving plans?
Yeah, actually, I'm doing a weird thing for Thanksgiving this year. We're actually going over a friend's house. We're actually having lasagna. Has anybody done that for Thanksgiving?
Australians.
I'll have to ask my friend Peter about that. Australians?
What do you guys have for Thanksgiving?
I was gonna say we do the Italian Thanksgiving, but hey, you know, it is what it is. We get different things.
There you go.
I picture that in your house just meaning like we poured spaghetti sauce on a turkey. Like, I mean,
pretty much, yeah. That's about it.
That would be good. I'll have to try that sometime. But yeah, no, Thanksgiving coming up. I was originally thinking this was going to be like the episode where we thank the folks at Salesforce for giving us the stuff that we like. You know, you're being thankful for your favorite feature or whatever. But I like this much better, even though I'm not super thankful about UI because I suck at it.
Yeah, we had 2 weeks. You could have mentioned that to me at any point, Ryan. We had 2 weeks since our last episode. You're gonna be like, you know what our next episode should be about? What we're thankful for.
Dude, I can only come up with a few things, you know, and my answer is always the same. Read my blog, you'll hear it. It's the community. So,
speaking of blogs, make sure to go check out System.Debug's new website. We have a new one up. There's a forum there. We encourage you to all ask questions that hopefully other people will answer. But if they don't, I guess we'll go in and do it. That's cool.
We'll try to answer. We'll play Stump the Chump, and I guarantee you will stump me just about every time. My secret is Google. We all know. It's like Google. I just Google everything.
That's all right. That's like the key to being a good developer. If nothing else, if you take nothing else away from this show, the answer is on Google. It's always on Google. So we are here.
So sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah. So we are here with Rashad. Rashad is a UX UI developer here at I was going to say Salesforce. I don't work for Salesforce. I work for Map Anything, and he's a UI UX developer for Map Anything. So you haven't been with our team necessarily very long, but how long have you been in the industry?
To be honest, not very long. I was a web developer before this, so front-end web developer. I was doing websites for a very small company. I was doing pretty much everything web related. I did because there was only about 4 of us. There was an IT guy. One of the owners was a software developer, so he did more apps and things like that. And I did all the web stuff. So I learned a lot from Google. So that was about. I've been at this for about maybe 3 or 4 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so fairly new.
Did you get your degree in front-end development?
No, my degree is in biology.
Really? I mean, that's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Hey, good news is I fail at both. So
Ryan's degree's in horticulture. So
Yeah, that would at least be something, right?
Honestly, I think RJ's degree is in physics.
Oh, is it really?
That is absolutely true. My bachelor's is in
That is
physics.
awesome.
Wow.
Somebody I used to work with, his degree is in film with a minor in women's studies. So, and here he is now. He's like a PHP developer writing the learning management system over at the UW. But yeah, it's kind of funny.
Megan says her degree is in Hebrew studies.
Oh, I remember her saying that.
Megan probably got like her PhD in Hebrew studies. Knowing Megan, she probably has like 8 PhDs.
She probably did it in 2 weeks too. I mean, she's just like so fast, brilliant.
Right? We're gonna have to have her. Megan, thank you so much for always being so involved, and you are definitely going to be on the list. And that other one.
He's pointing
that
at
other
something.
one.
You're talking
Ryan's
about
friend.
Trina. You're talking about my friend Trina. She's
I
probably
know, but I
on
wasn't
there
going
somewhere.
to say Trina because I didn't know if she wanted me to say her name, but I was Ryan's friend.
Oh, I'm totally going to say her name.
Okay,
Trina
good.
Oliver.
And she's
you
your
can follow
friend.
her on Twitter. But yeah, she's here all the time too. She's probably watching right now. If not, she will catch up later, and I always hear about it later. She's like, "Oh, I had you on my big smart TV," and I'm like, "Nobody needs to see my face."
Literally one of my favorite people. Like ever since I met her at Dreamforce, one of my absolute favorite people now. So
You're
back
saying
on
that
topic.
because you beat on me. That's why you showed up and were like, Ryan gave me the wrong information, and you were like, "Yeah, that Ryan's a jerk." That's probably why she's your favorite person.
Going back to the truck for a second, Megan wants to know where her truck is.
You can go to Target. They sell them on the end caps. Like Hot Wheels.
Little Hot Wheels trucks.
If you want, I'll send you a Map Anything sticker, and you can put it on your truck. But no, okay. So Rashad, so you've been doing this for 4 years. You said
4 years, yeah.
3-4 years. All right. What's your? I want to know, like, what is one of the things that you feel is the most rewarding parts of your job, and what is one of the parts that you would feel is probably something you struggle with, that you even though it encompasses what you need to do, it's just something you just
Well, starting with the struggle, I think the biggest struggle for me is the balance between innovation, like with design, and and the balance between that and with the principles that go behind UI UX. So everyone wants to reinvent the wheel, as far as like websites, things like that. Especially when I was doing freelance stuff, like if a client will say, "I want this to be a fresh website. I want nothing like it. Change everything up." But then you throw the menu at the bottom of the page, and flip things back and forth, and
there's only so much you can change.
Yeah, there's only so, because there's principles that guide UI UX. Like everybody expects the menu to be on top, or in the logo to be on the left side. All that stuff is what we look for as humans that use the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the struggle. What I love most is when everything comes together, and probably same for any developer.
When the case is no longer in there.
When I can clear that out of my to-do list. Yeah.
Right.
No, but when a client or when somebody who's using the product is satisfied and happy, that's really corny, but yeah, that's really when it's the most rewarding.
That kind of like brings up like an interesting question though, is that as a UI UX guy, like at first it was Bootstrap, and then LDS has kind of stolen a lot of that.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like it's just rinse and repeat for you?
No, it feels like it should be, but every case is different. Everything's different. It's never the same thing because people are different. People want different things. Each site, each like working for Map Anything, each panel requires a different set of items. It requires a different set of attention. So it's always something new. It's never really the same for me. The tools may be the same, but
but you don't feel like and I say this because like even though I understand like going to different websites, sure, they all have the different appeals, different appeals to them, but they all feel like Bootstrap these days. It's almost like somebody out at Twitter just said, from now on, input boxes need to have rounded corners.
Yeah.
Is that like ever like a thing for you?
Yeah, I mean the trends are strong. Like we were as a team, the UI UX team, we're looking at trends and we're just like, oh, we see this everywhere. But I think sometimes they're trends for a reason. Sometimes they're trends because somebody wants them to be trends. So like if somebody popular is doing something, a bunch of people are doing something, then all of a sudden everybody's doing it. It's like a snowball effect. But to be honest, sometimes it's good to go with it because trendy is what's in. So, you can always switch it up the next, go around. You're supposed to keep updating and things like that. So I think it can be a little bit of the, you don't want to fall into like the cookie cutter, just throw a bootstrap, framework on it and everything's the same with some people don't even change the color scheme. It's just like, the same buttons. But yeah.
It's got rounded corners. We're good to go. We're good to go.
I'm happy if I can pull that off. Rounded corners. Yay!
I literally copied and pasted from Lightning Design Systems website. That makes me real.
But a lot of thought goes into the trends. So, and a lot of it has to do with our attention spans as human beings and how quick we are to move on to the next thing. So it's give and take really for that.
So now, Ryan, do you have to do a bunch of like design for your kind of work?
I generally don't like do design as in how, you sit down with the designer and you throw up specs and you put it on, I can't remember like the various tools where you can allow, clients to view things like Adobe's got a product or whatever. I don't do like mock-up kind of stuff. We will sit down, particularly with respect to Salesforce now. So like I'm implementing communities in several places and we'll just sit down and say, hey, this is kind of what you have out of the box. We can do more. We can do a little less. We can do X, Y, and Z, but we try to keep it within a contained box of something that I know I can achieve. But no, since using things like the Napili template in the community and just adding custom components there, I still stick strictly with like the Lightning Design System style and what they put forth. But yeah, I try not to do what I'm not good at, which is designing and coming up with something really cool, because that's just I gave up.
Wait, did you just say I try not to do, or I try to do what I'm not good at?
I try not to do things I'm not good at.
Oh, okay.
There's two knots in there. I may not have said it right, but that's what I meant.
Fair enough.
Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not gonna
be a sailor with all those knots.
I'm not gonna make a client happy if they sit down and they say, Ryan, design us a website and implement it and all that. No, I'm not the person you want doing that. I can throw Lightning Design System in there. I can follow the guidelines for creating components and things like that just fine. But the minute you start asking me to say, to the point that was mentioned earlier, we want this to be like something nobody's ever seen before, I'm not your guy for that. No.
So that kind of brings up like a good question as well, is do you ever feel restricted by the tools, such as like it needs to conform to Lightning Design System?
At times, yeah. There's some times when there's some things that they haven't fully developed, like Bootstrap, especially 4 is like, it's out of this world. Like they've added a lot of different components. Lightning Design doesn't have quite as many. I work with ServiceNow also, and ServiceNow doesn't have a lot at all. But they use a closer version of Bootstrap, so you can kind of draw from Bootstrap a little more. But sometimes Lightning Design can be restrictive. You kind of have to be creative to go around that. And a lot of times here at Map Anything, we use our own design overlays. So we overwrite a lot of their designs, and we have our own. Our team is actually really good about coming up with components, things like that. So it also gives room for creativity when you have that kind of like box where you have to be in with Lightning Design. Then you can kind of move outside and take that component and design it the way you want to. So it's here at Map Anything, it's not very restrictive. Say that right now.
What would you say like one of your favorite features of the LDS compared to like standard Bootstrap would be? Like is there something they do particularly well besides integrate with Salesforce?
Yeah, I mean that's the big thing. I mean it's custom for Salesforce. It's easy to find the components that you're looking for that apply directly to those cases. So that's probably the main thing. I can't think of anything off, and like I mean, everything that they do well is done by Bootstrap well. So it's like I really couldn't say particularly. There's a few like I couldn't pull anything off the top of my head. Really.
So like, here's a question: would you say that it's just like a rebranding of Bootstrap at this point?
It's like a themed Bootstrap. You know what I mean? Like it's like
they pulled the whole CSS script and just kind of added their own elemental tags into it.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
and they have. Sorry, go ahead.
Go for it.
I was just saying, do they handle the grid in Lightning Design System the same way Bootstrap did?
It's funny because when I was introduced to Lightning Design, Bootstrap hadn't released. 4 was still in alpha, so it's in beta now. I believe, but 4 is based on Flexbox, and Lightning Design has the Flexbox thing going for it. As far as
now, can you explain Flexbox to me? This is a word that is thrown out to me all the time, and I'm just like, yeah, flex, man, doing it.
It's great because basically you have a container, and the elements within the container take up space based on their internal.
Like the relativeness, or like the actual.
Yeah, basically. So before when you did Bootstrap, it was like you had a container, you had the row, and then you had columns, and it was like a column on an extra large screen is this wide, it's this small, depending on how many columns you had, and it was like it was good, but it wasn't great because you couldn't really design for content to take up the space of the container.
Well, you always had to take account for each different size as to what was going to be handled there.
Right. So Flexbox allows you to. It's a really great thing. It allows you to base the size of the container on the content, which is really unheard of for CSS, and it really solves a lot of the problems. You know, the float issue, the
float left. Everything just floats left.
Yeah,
all of it, unless it floats right.
Right. The clear,
clear both. Yeah.
Oh God. When I started, Flexbox had just been introduced, and I was like, this needs to go mainstream like now. I don't want to learn all this clear stuff, but unfortunately,
I don't want to do my
job. Calling up people at CSS like, hey guys,
for real, I need this. Okay, like I need it.
Clear was a mess, man. I mean, you spend all your time trying to line something up, then you clear, and all of a sudden, hey, it's working, and then you open it in another browser, and then you're like, oh crap, IE8 doesn't like that very much, and
exactly.
I did that. I mean, that's why I totally got out of front end work. Was I think the last time I was actually doing it would have been around 2008 through 2010-ish. I was doing.
You can tell when a developer is dating themselves when they bring up referencing programming for IE8. Like, man, I remember when IE6 was like Netscape Navigator.
That's what burns you out, though, because like all the other browsers were moving and releasing often and supporting all the latest stuff, and all your marketing teams want to be like on the bleeding edge of stuff, but all your IT teams are like, whoa, we got to evaluate this stuff. It's going to be at least a year before we get going on IE9 and blah, blah, blah. And, the marketing team is pushing and pushing and pushing. And so you do all these things you can do. You're using the latest browser. You show the demo to the client, and it looks beautiful. And then they go back to their office where they're on IE8, and they show everybody because they're excited. They're like, "Look at this!" And it is crap. And all of a sudden, they got egg on their face, right? And then they come back and they yell at you, and I'm like, "I'm sorry."
So a government job, wasn't it?
Stuff it doesn't work. No, it was not government. I think I would have rather done government, to be honest. But and I hope they're not listening to this anymore. Of course, it doesn't matter. I don't buy their product anymore, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, it was a mess, and so I got out of UI for that very reason. I'm like, screw this. I can handle the back end, but this kind of nightmare for trying to get it to look good in Chrome, look good in Firefox, look good in Safari, look good in IE it was killing me. And now, with things like the Lightning Design System, I finally understand the whole grid concept that it's using and how to get it to dynamically size. I'm starting to understand that now, so the pages are responsive. So thank God for the Lightning Design System, because it makes idiots like me able to actually quasi pull off a responsive web page now. So
I just program it in Visualforce, and then I add that little component at the top, like the lightning thing, so it just makes your Visualforce page look like lightning. I'm like, that's good enough. Look what I did.
Oh, dude.
I'm legit.
I haven't actually tried that yet. I really want to, just to see what it looks like to some of the Visual Force that I've come across. Just throwing it
Like I
on
said,
there.
I'm
just to
so
see.
grateful we have professionals
Yeah.
that handle this for me. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Yeah.
So we got any
yeah.
comments or questions?
No, Megan was talking a few minutes ago about when they were first changing everything all the time a couple releases ago, and everything, all your components would break because they upgraded something or they changed something or they changed like the lightning design system. One of the classes or something they changed. I can't remember the structure, and it like blew up a ton of people's stuff, which was bad enough, but like for those people that actually had an active community going with lightning components, and so now all of a sudden they upgrade that, and now boom, their public facing community looks like crap. So yeah, it that was a fun couple of months there for those folks.
Man.
Nice.
So is there something in particular that you're just not, besides, and I know you said that it's just like there's some bootstrap functionality that you're missing and all that kind of stuff. What would you say is like probably like if they were going to go to market with something tomorrow, what would you like to see in the LDS?
Like an upgrade that I really want to see. That's a really good question.
You hear that, Benioff? It was a really good question.
Yeah. To be honest, when I first was introduced, I'm not even sure if they had, and you can correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not that experienced in LDS. But I think that the mobile capabilities were limited. Is that right?
I feel like that's Salesforce.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah. No, because Lightning Design System, as far as I know, they've always done pretty good job at making sure stuff was responsive, if that's what you mean. So
Okay, yeah.
respecting the window. It took me a long time to grok it and understand like, oh, all the class names. And I cannot do any Lightning Design System without having the site open and then going to each one and looking like, how do I do that sizing again to make sure that it's medium P __.
Yeah.
2 of 2, all that stuff, right? I mean, I still don't have all of that straight. And to anybody out there who has it straight and memorized, you are God.
Yeah,
But
I don't see
yeah.
how that's possible.
Yeah,
that's one thing I would recommend is like kind of making some of the classes a little easier to
Ingest.
to yeah, like some of them are just like it's 12 underscores and a dash, and you're just like, how do I figure out?
Well, and the best is when you get that memo from the UI UX team. Hey, from now on, when you're making your classes, we want them to all be similar to the LDS system. So you're like, all right, I'm just gonna start putting 12 dashes in everything.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
that's the thing I probably struggle with the most is when you're implementing that code. It's just like, okay, there's no way I could memorize all that stuff. I have to go back, even just for the padding, like it's LDS underscore this underscore that dash this and then underscore. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's why I'm happy that they do have their documentation is pretty thorough, so it's easy to go through and search and figure out what classes you need to, and it doesn't take a whole lot of time.
Yeah, I was having a problem the other day with one of their icons trying to use that in a component, and it was anytime I tried to include either the SVG tag or the lightning : icon tag, the component would error out when I tried to compile it with something like markup can't be empty. So I don't know what's going on there or what I was doing wrong. But along those lines, Megan is asking like, hey, what are some of the hangups that you've seen with Lightning Design System? Are there any gotchas or anything that you constantly are running into with it where you're running against the wall? Or
yeah, there's the SVG thing is one of them. Now that you mentioned it, I can't remember the exact reason for the bug, but we can't use SVGs in our developing environment. I really can't remember why, but that's one of the things we had to do like our own library of icons.
well, it's funny because they have a trail on Trailhead about that where SVGs, and what you do is you like the way they have it set up is that you're supposed to build a component for the SVG, and then you just load that with like a link every single time, and it renders it. It would be more intense, I would think, process. I mean, and Megan, correct me by all means. Am I wrong, or is that like how the trail works. I can't remember exactly.
I don't think I've taken that one either. But yeah, she says you used to have to make the component to use the SVGs. Now there's an actual tag, right? You can just do, I can't remember. There's like a use tag, and then you give it an SVG URL and an href and all that stuff, and it's supposed to load, but it does not work for me currently. So I just removed it for now. I'm like, I don't need an icon there anyway. But
They can read the word.
It would have been a nice touch, right? I mean, yeah. So it's basically generating. Yeah, it's just generating some documents, and so the title works there. You know, it's a document, right? But you know, it would have been nice to have a little money bag sitting there or whatever, you know, for an icon. But I'll figure that out.
So we got a couple of minutes here, and I kind of want to ask one last question. What as developers? Not that you're not a developer, but you're not a developer. I'm just kidding. No, but what as a backend, what as backend developers can we be doing to help our UI UX guys to you know, make your job smoother, make it easier for the transition between functionality to visibility?
That's a good question, because usually I'm thinking about it in the opposite direction. Usually I'm trying to make it easier for you when
we appreciate it,
design and develop things like that. But I really don't know. I mean, I guess if you kind of go about developing in a way that is user-centric, I'm thinking about the process of where users need to go when they, say for instance, they're clicking certain events. You don't really have to worry too much about what they look like. That's my job. But as far as the process of making things easier for the user, making things more intuitive, just thinking about what somebody without your intelligence would do. That's the thing. Like, a lot of us, we're around computers all the time. We're using the internet all the time. We know how to search for things. We know how to do things while being, you know, we can get frustrated and still go at it because we know we'll figure it out one day, you know, so at some point. But some people, they don't have that same level of skill. They don't have the same level of patience or understanding. So I guess just keeping that in mind, because UI UX is a huge concept. Like, but it's also a simple concept. But you just kind of have to step outside of your own realm to kind of figure out what's best for the consumer.
So one piece of advice, if you could give one
to developers.
Yeah.
Just think.
I don't want your brain.
You're breaking him.
Think like a user.
Okay.
That'd be my advice. Is to remove that part of your brain that's, you know, the developer part. Take it, put it in a tray somewhere, and think like a user. Not that users aren't geniuses or smart.
They very much are.
You're all smart people, but no, but just thinking outside of that developer brain.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things to do, man. Because as a developer, like, oh yeah, that'll work, and then you turn off, and a user finds a way to break it every time. Right?
Who would use it like that? That doesn't make any sense.
I never thought of putting 75 semicolons in there with a slash, and you know,
well, if somebody told me they were going to put letters in the number field, I would have accounted for that.
Exactly, right? So, I mean, he brings up a good point, thinking like a user, which, speaking as a developer, is not always easy, which is why I always hand it off to somebody who's not a developer and like, hey, take a look at this, break it, you know. So, but I like that. I like the thought of thinking more user-centric, the path that the user is going to take, architect your data that way, you know, something that makes it more sense that way. I like that. That's good advice.
Definitely. Well, all right, Rashad. It was very nice having you on the show tonight. Thank you so much for showing up. Everybody out there, we will be back in 2 weeks, and I have no idea what we're going to talk about, but you'll know when we know, so have a great night. Enjoy Thanksgiving. Eat some turkey if you're in the States.
I did get a message really quick here, though, that said one of our fans, Trina, realized that next week, the 28th, is our 1-year anniversary.
Bum, bum, bum.
Does that mean we have to do an extra
show? Music for that?
been a year, so we have to come up with something on that.
That's super
day.
insane. I think we should send Trina a shirt.
I think we
something.
should send Trina a shirt for pointing that out. Thank you.
Absolutely.
I third that.
She's
Oh,
got the World
Trina.
Hunger shirt, so maybe we need
Trina,
a
Trina.
special.
Trina.
We need a special one just for her. And Trina says, or not Trina, Megan says we have to do a happy birthday show. So there we go. So we have some
This is your birthday
suggestions.
song. It isn't very long.
Oh God, here he goes.
No, that was
Let's
it.
get out of here
That's
before
it.
the
That's
puns
whole
come on.
song.
Before the puns come on.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
All right. Thanks.